Okay, so get yourself set up for your restorative practice. So you've got your yoga mat, and then have an extra blanket over the top of it, just so that you're going to be comfortable and kind of cozy. Really, is good. Um, Weather's changing a little bit, isn't it? And so if you feel like you might be a little bit chilly, then if you've got a heater nearby, then good. If you haven't, then just use a blanket. A blanket's always a good addition to your restorative practice. So get yourself a bolster for underneath your knees and a couple of blocks for underneath your feet, and then a folded blanket for underneath your head. So it's good to take your glasses off if you're wearing them, and if you've got anything to cover your eyes with, like a little flannel or an eye pillow like this, then those are always going to come in handy. So you've got the bolster underneath your knees, you've got the blocks underneath your feet, and then just allow yourself to just come down onto the floor. I always really love this moment where you just suddenly release into the floor, and maybe you've been on your feet or you've been on the go all day, and this first couple of minutes is just a little glimpse of bliss, just being able to just release into the floor. Just spend a moment or two to establish whether or not you are lying there evenly, or whether you need to adjust. Maybe you need to cover yourself up just for warmth. Perhaps you need to cover your eyes over. So just spend a few moments just preparing yourself for your practice. Just listening to the sound of your breath. Listening to the sound of your breath, listening to the rise and the fall of the chest as you inhale and exhale. So after you've been here for a little while, just ascertain whether or not you need to adjust. And if you need to adjust for comfort, then adjust. There's nothing to be gained from sitting in discomfort. So allow the body to just release into the floor, letting go of the muscles of the arms and the legs. So close your eyes if you haven't done yet. And then allow yourself to just completely release into the floor. Draw your attention to how the body is supported by the floor and the bolster and the blanket and the blocks. Draw your attention into the soles of your feet. Just draw your attention into the soles of the feet so that they tingle with consciousness. So the skin and the muscle tingles with awareness. Draw your attention into the soles of the feet and then completely relax the skin and the muscle and the bone and the core of the bones of the sole of the foot. Draw your attention to the top of your foot, the top of the feet, the skin that stretches over the top of the feet. And then draw your attention into the top of the foot and consciously relax the skin and the muscle. Draw your attention on the top of the foot and then relax the skin and the muscle and the bones and the core of the bones. Draw your attention into your shins so that the skin begins to tingle with consciousness. Draw your attention into your shins and consciously relax the shins and the skin and the muscle and right into the core of the bone. Draw your attention into your shins and allow the fronts of the shins to consciously sink into the backs of the shins. Relaxing the shins into the calf muscles. And then draw your attention into your thighs. Draw your attention into your thighs. Let go of the shins, allowing the shins to sink into the calf muscle. Drawing your focus into the thighs, feeling how the fronts of the thighs can sink into the backs of the thigh. Draw the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs, letting the legs completely release into the floor. Draw your focus into the pelvis and the abdomen. Again, allowing any tension to release. Observing your energy on the mat. Drawing your attention into the abdomen and up into the torso. So allowing the muscles around the chest and the rib cage and around the abdomen to completely let go and release. Just allowing the torso to sink into the floor. And drawing your attention into your arms, into the upper arms in the shoulder socket, to the elbows and the forearms and the hands. Just consciously releasing into the floor. Releasing the shoulders and the elbows and the forearms and the wrists and the palms of the hands, allowing them all to soften. arms to just completely sink into the floor. And then soften the neck. And draw your attention into your head. Soften the skin around the skull, around the forehead and around the eyes. Just allowing your body to completely release into the warmth of your pose. So just allowing yourself to just completely let go. So remember, as we progress into the practice, I'll speak less and less, just to give you the opportunity to completely relax without having to listen. Just letting go with each exhalation, allowing yourself to release into the floor. So this time on the mat just helps to rejuvenate our energy for the rest of the evening. Draw your attention into your neck and your face, softening the muscles around the face like you're moulding clay. Just observing the lightness of the physical body. Okay, when you're ready, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, and then bring your feet onto the bolster. Just have your knees together, your feet apart for a moment. Just resting into the floor. And then just gently roll onto your side, onto your right side, and then come up into cross legs. Just spend a moment just to feel how perhaps your energy has lifted a little, how your energy has changed. So we're going to do the mountain brook pose. So use the blanket that you had underneath your head, just unfold it a little, just so it's this little 8th fold, and then just fold it in half down the middle. So you've got kind of a thick, thin, or thick and narrow bolster. You can remove the bolster, the blocks from underneath your feet, but you'll need the bolster from underneath your knees. And then we're just going to come down onto, say, the bolster underneath your knees still. Just bring your shoulder blades onto that little, it's only a little lift, but makes a pretty profound difference in your energy. So it's just the folded blanket just underneath your shoulders, and then you just rest your arms over your head like this. So resting your hands on the floor. If there's stiff shoulders, you can put some blocks underneath your hands. If you feel like you need a bit of warmth, then just cover yourself with blanket. So the folded blanket is just in the shoulder blade region. The shoulders are effectively on the floor. So, as I said earlier on, as we progress into the sequence, I'll speak less and less so that you can just relax without having to listen. So this pose is deeply energizing. So it's called Mountain Brook. Remember that if you feel uncomfortable at any stage of the pose, just adjust until you feel comfortable again. Okay, when you're ready, just gently release your arms. Just rest your arms on the sides of the chest. And then just push your elbows into the floor and then bring yourself up into cross legs. And again, just observe how your energy has changed, how there's lightness in the head and around the shoulders and around the neck. So we can do the spine lengthening pose, and this isn't as drastic as it sounds. It's actually really nice. So the spine lengthening pose is just get your blanket and just unfold it so that you've got so it's kind of quite long like this, and then you're going to fold it down the middle and down the middle again. So you've got this kind of slightly longer, narrow bolster, so it's blanket. So it's going to go kind of along your back. So again, you keep the bolster for your knees, and you don't sit right on top of the folded blanket. You just sit about an inch away from the blanket and then lift up into the chest as you guide your spine down along the folded blanket, and then just get the end of the blanket and then just fold it up a little so that you've got this feeling of elongation along the spine. So just again, cover yourself over for warmth if you need to. Just aligning yourself down the center of the folded mat, and then just have your arms just resting on the floor at the sides of the body so you can cover those over as well. So again, just adjusting until it feels as though there is length in the spine, so you might have to adjust the position of the bolster underneath your knees. So I find that when you bring the bolster a little bit closer to the backs of the calves and the backs of the knees, then you get this real sensation of spinal stimulation and elongation. Okay, and when you're ready to disturb yourself, just bring your feet onto the bolster and then just roll off the lift. Just come onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then just sit yourself up into a cross-leg position. And again, just observe how your energy has changed from when we started the session. Breathing evenly, deeply listening to the sound of the breath, observing that lightness of energy that rises up and into the chest. Okay, we're going to finish off in the, we're going to do the butterfly pose as our penultimate pose. So just unfold your blanket again, and then just fold it into your just basic pillow kind of shape, and then get a couple of blocks. So have one block on its edge like this, and then another up on edge, and then bring your bolster just along onto the block like that, and then have your blanket for your head. Oh, and then hopefully it doesn't fall over as mine has done. So just we've got this little ramp, and then we're just going to come into the butterfly pose. So the feet are together, the knees are apart, and then you lift the chest as you guide yourself down along the bolster, and this just really opens up the chest. It's really nice. So opening up the chest, and again just covering yourself for warmth if you need to. Just opening up the chest, just listening to the breath. Again, you can cover your eyes if you want, or just close your eyes. Okay, when you're ready, just push your hands into the floor, lift your chest. Let's come into cross legs for a moment. Again, just observing your energy. And then we'll just finish off in the same position that we started in. So just have the bolster underneath your knees, blocks. You don't really need those this time underneath your feet. You can use them if you prefer. Have the blanket just to support your head and your neck. And then just bring yourself down, just finishing the way that we began. So the bolster underneath your knees, blanket underneath your head, covering yourself over if you need to. And then just releasing into the floor just for the last couple of minutes. Just be conscious of that lightness that radiates out from the bones into the muscles and into the organs, to the flesh and into the skin, just feeling that positive flow of good energy. Basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. Use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness down into the tips of the toes, to the tips of the fingers and into the top of the head. Okay, when you're ready, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, have your knees together, just resting into the floor for a moment. And then gently roll onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg. Come back up into a seated position. Just final cross legs with your hands in Namaste. Just a final spinal lift. Drawing your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, this evening, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then radiate some of that positive energy out into the world. And then just gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel like you've really transformed your energy, giving yourself some good energy to put into the rest of your evening. So thank you very much for joining me.